say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
What holds this university together, with all of its diversity and the complexity of the different fields, is that everybody is engaged in discovery, and that's true of the arts as well as the sciences. In a university, students get to work side by side with the faculty, exploring, discovering, creating, and it's really important for them to be able to see and hear performances, to participate themselves, and to be up close and personal. The arts have been important to UC Davis for a long time, but we need to have facilities like the Mondavi Center and like the new museum that's being planned to realize the potential.
I felt that for academic purposes, we really had to have something that spoke to the humanities and the performing arts. And that was the beginning of the idea, because this was the one thing that the administration could do. The administration can't develop courses, and it can't develop majors, and it can't do all of those things that could have made the campus lean more toward those areas, academic areas. But what we could do is build something dramatic like this that would catch people's attention. So it was a big change in the way that we thought about things on the campus.
The university already had an ideal piece of land to create a new dramatic entrance to UC Davis.
The whole vision for what we came to call the front door of the campus along Interstate 80 was to bring our academic programs out front, but create public destinations so people had a reason to pull into UC Davis and then provide them with a positive experience that they take with them forever and help take ownership of the place. I mean, it was all very, very intentional.
With the buildings being first the Performing Arts Center and then the Enology, Viticultural and Food Science building is now physically very visible from the busy highway where I hear maybe 80 or 100,000 cars go by a day. And it wasn't visible before. If you remember, there was a water tower, and that was UC Davis. And also bringing it forth physically brings it forth also as an idea. When you come now, it is here, and the buildings are beautiful. And also with the Performing Arts Center, of course, that gives me now a chance to come to see some of the great performances in this building. And until a year ago, when my husband passed away, we came together and we were always saying, look what happened. And that gives you great pleasure. Mm-hmm.
Over its first 10 years, the Mondavi Center has reached over 1 million audience members. Just as importantly, it has served as a place of discovery for more than 100,000 students from around the Sacramento region.
It's a matter of raising money so that you can do so many more things, like bringing in a presenter for a week, so that they can go into the schools and classes here on campus also, going into both places, so that we can do just more things with the program than we did before. More performances, which allows for more school matinees.
I think it's wonderful. I think all the programs for the matinees for the students is a great idea. They're given a chance to see things that they had never imagined, and they come in, their faces light up at the beauty of the hall, you know, they're excited. It's a very rewarding thing to work with. I just thought I did a good thing with our money.
I think the simplest way for me to sum it up would be inspiration. Whenever I come inside the Mondavi Center, whenever I walk by the Mondavi Center, buy my own tickets to concerts, I'm simply inspired. Not only musically, you know, as a person, to really strive to be the best and to make the best of what I could possibly do. Because when you have such a great venue, it really does kind of make you psychologically raise your bar, no matter what you do. So yeah, I would definitely say that this not only has, you know, nourished my artistical experiences here at Davis, but also my personal growth. Yeah.
The Mondavi Center is such a wonderful venue that it allows the whole campus to experience world-class artists and just terrific performers. It's hard for me to imagine the campus without the Mondavi Center.
Arts and culture are as important to a well-rounded education and university experience as anything we do. I have been very fortunate to be part of several campuses with major performing arts centers, but nothing has exceeded the quality of our Mondavi Center. It has allowed us to bring to campus an exciting variety of artists and attractions that have enriched our entire region, and enhance the growing reputation of UC Davis.
That's good. Music always sounds better than me anyway. Good morning, and thank you for being here at the 2012-13 opening convocation, which Chancellor Linda Katehi, who will join us in a few minutes, has chosen to be a celebration of the arts. Today, we will have a chance to reflect on the first decade of the Mondavi Center, on the history of the arts on our campus, the vibrancy of the arts on campus today, and with crucial new projects on the horizon, the wonderful prospects for the future of the arts here at UC Davis. Why celebrate the arts? Nietzsche once said, "Without music, life would be a joke." But I think this old New Yorker cartoon captures it even better by depicting life without Mozart. That's about it. I remember that a lot growing up in New York, actually, but and Mozart really is a stand-in for all the arts and what our life would be without them, without the stimulation, the comfort, the excitement, and empathy the arts bring to us. Of course, the arts won't solve the troubles of this world, clean up all the vacant lots of our civilization, or make bad people good. Indeed, some of the most beautiful and uplifting art has been created by some fairly unpleasant characters. But without the arts, we don't have a chance at evolving into the kind of people, the kind of civilization with the richness of life that we need to counter the grim and macabre absurdities that too often dominate the 24-hour news cycle view of our world. I believe that there is no real life without the arts and no chance for enlightenment and growth, and hence our celebration today. And of course, this celebration marks the conclusion of the first decade of this visionary performing arts center. I know that many of you here today have shared glorious moments in Jackson Hall and across the corridor in the intimacy and warmth of the Vanderhoof Studio Theater. From a quiet moment during a jazz solo or a string quartet to the spectacle of last spring's Snow White aerial feats and all, we've shared profound, exciting, and moving moments with our students, friends, neighbors, and colleagues. Less obviously, almost daily, the Mondavi Center has been the engine behind individual transformational experiences inside these two theaters and around the region. Experiences like this, the experience of one of the hundreds of UC Davis students in music, in theater and dance, and other disciplines who have experienced performing in a world-class space here on a world-class stage. The experience of the elementary school student whose eyes open in wonder at a first school matinee in Jackson Hall, or a classroom visit from a world-renowned artist. Or the lifelong arts patron who, after one of our artist encounters, finds a brand new way into a favorite work. Or the aspiring young musician who receives tips from the likes of Yo-Yo Ma or Delfeo Marsalis at a masterclass, or whose talents are encouraged by the Mondavi Center's Young Artist Competition, like our wonderful performers, Anush and Grace, earlier today, and maybe another round of applause for those two wonderful young musicians. Or, finally, the world-class artists themselves, whether Michael Tilson Thomas, who returns later this week, or Bonnie Raitt, who visited last week, who never imagined the aesthetic and acoustic jewel they would experience as they play here in Davis, or the warmth they would feel from our Sacramento region audiences. These Mondavi moments in the life of audience members, artists, and young people have been created time after time in this first Mondavi Center decade. Today, we also look ahead to a new decade where this Performing Arts Center will adapt, evolve, and grow in its aspirations to impact our students, our campus community, our region, and the international arts world. And we look ahead in this next decade to two new arts venues, a world-class recital hall just on the other side of the Arboretum, and the Jan Shrem and Maria Manetti Shrem Museum of Art, our forthcoming neighbor, whose director will outline her exciting vision for this visual arts landmark later this morning. And now it is my honor to recognize and introduce a number of people here today. First, since we are here in the Robert and Margaret Mondavi Center for the Performing Arts, we are reminded of the amazing generosity of Robert and Margaret Mondavi and of the debt we owe to Margaret for her support of the arts and of UC Davis. Margaret will join us on stage later this morning, but please join me now in a round of applause for Margaret Mondavi. It is always a pleasure to acknowledge our dear friend and benefactor, Barbara K. Jackson, whose generosity has been so crucial to the development of the Mondavi Center and whose name this beautiful hall bears. Barbara, every one of us here today thanks you. I also want to recognize Chancellor Emeritus Larry Vanderhoof and Rosalie Vanderhoof, without whose vision and determination there would not have been a performing arts center on our campus. This is a perfect occasion to thank a wonderful team of faculty, students, and staff who raised UC Davis's profile at the Smithsonian Folklife Festival in Washington, D.C., in front of a potential audience of more than 600,000 visitors. Please join me in a round of applause for the Smithsonian Folklife Festival team. It's a great opportunity for me to express special appreciation for the Mondavi Center Advisory Board, the Friends of Mondavi Center, two wonderful groups of volunteers who've supported our efforts from the very beginning, and working tirelessly both in front of and behind the scenes, the Mondavi Center staff, who make events like this week in, week out, run so smoothly. Within that staff, since day one of the Mondavi Center, have worked hundreds of our own highly talented UC Davis students. Please give a round of applause to our Mondavi Center volunteers and staff. With us today are a number of officials representing foreign consulates. Please hold your applause until we've introduced all of these honored guests. From the Consulate General of Australia, Consul General and Senior Trade Commissioner Warren Nigel. From the Chinese Consulate, Consulate Wang Hixiang, Deputy Consul General Bi Gang, and Chief Education Consuls Shao Wei and Xu Yongji. From the Consulate General of Mexico, Consul General Carlos Gonzalez Gutierrez. Please join me in thanking these consular officials. Also, joining us today are a number of our region's elected officials. Don Saylor, Yolo County Board of Supervisors, California State Senator Lois Wolk, California State Assembly Member Mariko Yamada, Yolo County Supervisor James Provenza, and Davis City Council Member Rochelle Swanson. Representing our regional school districts are Jorge Ayala, Yolo County Superintendent of Schools, Susan Lovenberg and Sheila Allen, board members Davis Joint Unified School District, Mary Leland, board member Washington Unified School District, Carol Souza Cole, trustee Woodland Joint Unified School District. Thank you all for being here today. It is an honor to recognize our campus and university leaders who are here today. Please hold your applause until everyone has been introduced. Will you each please stand and remain standing as I call your names? Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor Ralph J. Hexter. Chair of the Academic Senate, Bruno Noctergale. Chair of the Academic Federation, Ellen Bonnell. UC Davis Staff Assembly Chair, Rob Kerner. Treasurer of the Graduate School Association, John Peterson. Chair of the UC Davis Foundation, Bruce Edwards, and President of the Cal Ag Alumni Association, Chuck Nichols. Please join me in a round of applause for our distinguished campus and university leaders. And now I am proud to introduce UC Davis's sixth chancellor. She is an accomplished scientist and a highly respected educator. More than that, she is a strong voice for higher education and a passionate advocate for students. Under her leadership, UC Davis has continued its ascent among the world's top universities. Please join me in welcoming Chancellor Linda Katehi.
Thank you. Thank you, Don. You could all agree, of course, that Don has been a wonderful leader here. He took this amazing facility and he gave soul to it with the programming that he's making available to all of us. So please join me in a round of applause for and thanking for everything that he has done for this institution. Good morning to all of you. It is wonderful to be with everyone here as we begin another academic year at UC Davis. This is my fourth convocation since becoming a chancellor 3 years ago. And along with commencement, this is always such a highlight. Graduation celebrates our students' achievements as they leave UC Davis to make their mark in the world. But convocation marks the start of a new academic year and ushers in a new class with a promise of a journey both enlightening and memorable. These public ceremonies are the bookends of the academic experience, enabling our students to reach whatever heights they aspire to. Higher education is having a tough time everywhere, but thanks to our outstanding students, faculty, and staff, we have many reasons to be proud and to feel optimistic about UC Davis's future. In August, the Sierra Club named UC Davis the coolest school in the nation. And that is for our strong work in sustainability and climate change. This is a great honor for our students, faculty, and staff who helped make this happen. A lot of hard work went into this for many, many years. And just 2 weeks ago, we received more good news when UC Davis was named the nation's 8th best public university in the annual rankings by US News and World Report. This would not have happened. This would not have happened without the tremendous effort of our community and their commitment to excellence. Our programs continue their ascending trajectory, and our faculty, staff, and students are recognized locally and globally for their achievements. Another striking measure of our success is our increased research funding. This year, more than in any other UC, our research funding reached a record high of $745 million, an unprecedented growth of almost 10%. And you know, when it comes to research, it's all the work of our faculty, of our staff, and our students. So all the credit goes to them. Our friends and alumni feel very positive about this university too. And the comprehensive campaign for UC Davis continues to exceed our expectations, moving us closer day after day to our billion-dollar target. Last year was a particularly strong fundraising year, the second best in UC Davis's history, with contributions exceeding $132 million from more than 40,000 donors. As of last week, the campaign has received $841 million from 93,000 donors. We try very hard to increase our research and to increase our fundraising, because we want to support more undergraduate and graduate students with scholarships, assistantships, and fellowships. Today, for the first time, I'm happy to announce a new UC Davis Foundation board-driven initiative to do just that. Under the leadership of Foundation Board Chairman Bruce Edwards, the board has committed to raising $1 million for student scholarships by November 1. Once raised, thank you. Once raised, the board will use these funds to match other contributions for endowed scholarships, so we can leverage those gifts to help as many students as possible. With all the financial challenges facing California and the nation, we know how critical it has become to diversify our sources of revenue and bring financial stability to our campus, so we can continue our progress towards excellence as a public research and land-grant university. This is why we are aggressively pursuing public and private funds for our students, programs, scholarship, and research. And planning on our 2020 initiative is continuing to take shape nicely, offering a solid blueprint for growth, for a more vibrant and international university, and for greater financial stability. As all of you know, there is another important piece to our future health that California voters will be asked to consider this November. Proposition 30, the governor's revenue-raising measure, is on the ballot, and higher education has a lot at stake in the outcome. If it passes, we should be able to escape additional cuts in state funding and hold the line on tuition and fees. If it fails, UC and CSU are each targeted to lose yet another $375 million. As the UC Regents and President Udov have said, that would mean deep cuts to programs and personnel, and possibly steep tuition increases. Many are asking universities to adjust to these cuts and narrow their offerings, limit their programs, and deliver only degrees in some areas that may better match the identity of the institution. Some are vocal critics to a comprehensive education and believe that we are investing unnecessarily broadly. But as Michael Roth, president of Wesleyan University, recently pointed out in a New York Times op-ed, this critique may be new, but the call for a more narrowly tailored education is not. It was John Dewey, perhaps America's most influential scholar on personal development and education, who said that a narrow education produces tools and assets, but not thinkers who can learn and adapt, which is what every nation needs today. We as an institution face great challenges. We have seen major state cuts totaling almost $150 million annually in the last 3 years, and substantive increases in tuition as a result of that, and of course, rising student debt. Despite these challenges, we should not forget that learning to question, learning to create, and learning to learn are the deepest form of freedom one can practice as a citizen. And learning through the arts, which is what we are here to celebrate today, helps students develop the sensitivities that will make them successful citizens and not just simply successful employees. Arts and arts education on our campus are an integral part of the great education we aspire to give our students. The arts not only help our students find human significance in their life and work, but they inspire the community to elevate the quality of life for us all. The arts enable us to see life more clearly, inspiring us to think and reflect as few other pursuits can. Here at UC Davis, we enjoy a rich tradition in the arts and sciences, and we can be a model of what is possible when we all pull in the same general direction. True originals such as painter Wayne Thibault, poet Gary Snyder, and so many more UC Davis artists and innovators helped establish our campus decades earlier as a cultural mecca. They enhanced our reputation as a center of excellence, diversity, and creativity. And today, with great faculty, dedicated staff, and outstanding students, as well as first-rate venues like this one we are here today, we built on that tradition. I'm proud to stand here at the Mondavi Center celebrating its 10th anniversary as the cultural heart of our campus. Thanks to so many great volunteers and generous philanthropies like Barbara Jackson and Margrit Mondavi, who are here today, this center has become an integral part of UC Davis. So integral, as a matter of fact, that it's difficult to remember campus life without it. 100,000 people attend events in Mondavi every year, featuring artists from Yo-Yo Ma and the New York Philharmonic to B.B. King and Bonnie Raitt. We have K-12 educational outreach programs that extend to 7 surrounding counties, the only real exposure some of these youngsters may have to the arts. Imagine the impact a few years from now when we have the world-class Jan Shrem and Maria Manetti Shrem Museum of Art right next door. Like the Mondavi Center, the new museum will make a unique contribution to our university and region. In addition to providing new educational opportunities, we can showcase the university's extensive fine arts collection, much of which is now kept in storage, out of public view, because we have not had the space to show it. Rachel Teagle, who just joined UC Davis as the museum's new director, and she's going to speak, as a matter of fact, in a few minutes, is here, of course, with us today to celebrate, and I just wanted to say welcome to Rachel. It's wonderful to have you on board. I also, thank you. I also want to let you all know that our new music department recital hall is making good progress, and we are busy raising the necessary funds to bring this important project to fruition. By January, we will have completed the design stage and have the architectural firm on board. The new hall will provide a place for our music students and faculty to perform, and it will add the kind of first-rate, large classroom space our campus needs. So you see, on this campus, the arts are an intrinsic part of who we are and a core component of the university. They are as essential as our cutting-edge research and world-renowned programs and scholarship. As we continue to establish UC Davis as one of the world's truly outstanding universities, the arts will play an integral part in that ambition, a cornerstone in our vision of a future of excellence. It is now my great honor to bring up Margrit Mondavi, who continues to amaze us with her energy, vision, and generosity. But before I do so, let me just tell you a few things about Margrit. Margrit and her late husband, Robert, made the California wine industry an international powerhouse. But without Margrit, few people outside California would have known about the Napa Valley. Today, the programs she created are considered global benchmarks in the art, music, and food. And Margrit continues to dedicate so much of herself to advancing the body and soul of our university. The Mondavis' magnificent philanthropy gave UC Davis the Robert Mondavi Institute and the building we are in right now, both stunning achievements. And more recently, her passion for the arts and her generous gift launched the planning of the new UC Davis Museum of Art. Her energy and commitment brought Maria Manetti Shrem and Jan Shrem forward to join Margrit with a naming gift. It is important, in fact, and very hard for all of the great things that Margrit has done to thank her enough for everything that she means to UC Davis. But please join me in welcoming her today and showing her our sincere appreciation. Thank you.
Oh. Basta, basta, basta. Oh. What can I say? First of all, good morning. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you, Chancellor Katehi, for your words, for your sentiment. She's not only an inspiration to me, but also a great friend, and you know, the friendship from the heart. It is true that Bob and I always believed in that wine, food, and the arts enhance the quality of life. And you know, art to me, and it has been explained again today, is a major part because that enhancement is a sort of an expression of emotions that you have and something that you take with you all your life. And when I see the young people here, oh, please give them a chance to have that feeling for art in so many forms. And we also believe that giving you, you know, something is a reward beyond my expressions. And as Barbara said, how better can you spend money than to enhance something like that? And somebody's got to create the next music goers, the next people that go to museums that really enjoy that beauty. And it has been extraordinary to see here performances of that caliber, to meet some of the art faculty, and to know that students will benefit for years to come. This makes our life so rich, and this is my reward. And I think, really, because I believe that education is a promise for a better life, there is no better reward. There is no better coming back. And because it's a promise for good things to come. So, again, what can I say? To see the University of California, Davis, now as something that from the highway is important, and not only that water tower that Don had reference to, is such a joy. Thank you all.
Good morning, everybody. Slamat siang. My name is Henry Spiller, and I'm the chair of UC Davis's music department. You've just heard our department's gamelan ensemble performing a piece called Bubukaan, which just means overture in English. The department's committed to embracing a variety of classical, jazz, popular, and non-Western musics in our curriculum, and my own research activities centered on Indonesia, whence come the beautiful instruments you've just seen and heard. This particular set comes from West Java and is collectively called a gamelan. I know from my own experience of playing in a gamelan ensemble as an undergraduate many years ago that this kind of opportunity is truly transformative for students. In fact, art transforms all of us on a daily basis, so often that we tend to forget about it and take the arts for granted. So we in the music department see our jobs as challenging students to confront this complacency and to actively unmask the roles and the meanings that music has in people's lives. You might be wondering, so what's the meaning of gamelan music and what's its role here this morning? Well, the sounding parts of gamelan instruments are made from bronze, a material that West Javanese regard to be intrinsically powerful because the manufacture of bronze involves this very spiritually potent alchemy of the four basic elements of earth, water, fire, and air. And in West Java, auspicious moments like life cycle events, like weddings, or religious holidays, or institutional milestones, such as the opening of a new academic year, are marked with a special celebration called a hajat, the goal of which is to ensure a graceful transition from one social state or time to another one. And this is accomplished by gathering a whole bunch of guests together from near and far to focus their collective energy and power against the inherent dangers of transitions from one state to another. Sounds familiar? That's what we're doing this morning. Gamelan music contributes to the efficacy of hajat in several ways. First, that bronze, the sound of the bronze, actually viscerally distributes the instrument's power to each and every person in attendance. Second, the music contributes to a very loud, lively, noisy, what the Indonesians call rame, atmosphere that manifests each of the participants' personal power. And then finally, the music's interlocking parts remind the listeners subconsciously of a fundamental value that's common throughout Indonesia, namely that close cooperation toward a common goal creates results that are much greater than the sum of the individual parts. So this morning, I hope that the powerful sounds of our gamelan's bronze instruments have penetrated each and every one of you and have energized you for the coming academic year. And I hope that the lingering impression of the music will subconsciously remind you that cooperative efforts always yield the best results. Terima kasih banyak atas perhatian Anda. Thank you very much for your attention.
My name is Peter Lichtenfels. I'm professor of theater and dance, and I have the pleasure to talk about my colleague Della Davidson, who passed in March this year. She was an inspiration to all of us, but I'd like to talk about the continuing inspiration she will have for us for many years. She built the undergraduate and graduate dance at UC Davis over the last 12 years and brought the program together in a unique way around embodied knowledge. Embodied knowledge, like most knowledges in the arts, is knowledge that you learn by actually doing something with your body, like playing a violin or playing a piano that we've heard earlier. You can watch somebody do it, and you can read about it, but you don't actually know until you do it. The honest truth is that embodied knowledge is well nigh impossible to put into words, but we can bring its aesthetic experience into conversation with the critical and scientific knowledge. In a way that is becoming unique to the arts at UC Davis, her research and creative work also brought together embodied knowledge with conceptual and digital knowledge to give us a better understanding of the world and how to act well within it. Della was renowned for collaboration with the Multimedia Caves project in geology, with dance filmmaker Alan Bromberg, Michael Neff and his motion capture, and was planning a long-term project on doing a show called Dancing with Horses on campus. She worked tirelessly for Davis Honors Challenge, using embodied knowledge to teach gender issues to non-dancers. She created original choreographies that toured widely in the United States. She contributed vitally to the new PhD in performance studies, and we like to think that the MFA that she created was the best on the West Coast. Students who've graduated from the courses take the name of the arts of UC Davis around the world. In these last 12 years, her students have practiced and toured creatively in the two main centers for dance in the United States, namely San Francisco and New York City, and throughout Europe, Africa, Asia, and both of the Americas. Those students have taught and they teach in tenure track and visiting lecture positions at East Bay, San Francisco State, Sac State, but also Stanford, the rest of the UCs, Ohio State, Brown, NYU, Impulse Tanz in Vienna, Parts in Brussels, as well as many other places, including Israel, Senegal, and Brazil. These students garner many awards, and recently 2 of them have won 2 of the top dance awards in the United States, the Bessie in New York for Best Choreography, and the National Alpert Award for Dance. Of course, Della won many awards of her own, but what gave her the greatest satisfaction and achievement was working with her students in the significance and knowledge that their body gave them. Della became part of the tradition of UC Davis, where all of us sustain the vital importance of creative knowledge in enhancing the liberal arts education within the USA. Thank you.
So I have to ask a question. Why do we have a gamelan at UC Davis? And indeed, why study the arts at all in a university known for its outstanding vet school and path-breaking research in agriculture and health and energy and sustainability? The truth is that this campus has also had a remarkable and outsized tradition of innovation and accomplishment in the arts. The arts are thriving. 3 of our 5 largest majors in the division are in the arts, in design, art studio, and music. The academic study of the arts at UC Davis takes place not in professional schools or in a school of the arts, but in the College of Letters and Science. We offer the Bachelor of Arts degree to our undergraduates and introduce thousands of students from the other colleges to the arts. UC Davis has long had a remarkable and distinctive commitment to creativity in dance, theater, music, film and media, poetry and fiction, and the visual arts. We care about the history, theory, and criticism of the arts, but also about the making of art. And it is this very juxtaposition that matters. We know why someone might study engineering, but why study the gamelan? Can't you just hear a parent saying, "You're going to study what?" Students are drawn to the gamelan for many reasons: to learn about their own culture or to experience an entirely different way of making music. Some are music majors, but many are not. But I can guarantee that each student has discovered something about what it means to listen, to be part of a greater whole, to focus intently in the moment on the creation of sound. The magic of what we offer at UC Davis is that you can never predict what the experience of playing in the gamelan will mean for our students. In fact, Henry Spiller first encountered the gamelan as a freshman at UC Santa Cruz, and now he's a world expert. Let me quote from his 2004 book. Gamelan music of all sorts is about playing together with other people in a unified group in which mutual cooperation is rewarded with harmonious music. An expert gamelan musician uses her or his knowledge and skill not so much to stand out and shine in the group, but to blend seamlessly into the complex musical texture and make everybody shine. The question to ask in learning a new part in the gamelan is not, how interesting can I make my own part, but rather, how does my part affect all the others? Each student has to learn, as Spiller did, to conceive his or her role in the gamelan ensemble as somebody who fits in rather than somebody who stands out. Surely this discipline of cooperation, to learn when it is better to fit in than to stand out, to make the whole greater than the sum of the parts, is one of the important lessons that gamelan performance teaches and embodies for students. Other approaches to making art teach other lessons that are no less valuable. It is true that studying the arts makes for better veterinarians, better biologists, better nurses, better engineers, better citizens. But I would rather answer that it expands the way we think, the way we experience the world. The study of the arts is part of the great mission of discovery that defines UC Davis: discovery and experimentation and service. And by the way, see Henry if you'd like to join the gamelan. And as you walk between Merak and the library in the late afternoon, listen for the rehearsals in the new ethnomusicology ensemble studio, the renovated garage next to the art annexed. You all know what's the first to get cut from our public schools. It's the music and art teachers. That makes the mission of the arts even more critical at our universities. Today we are here celebrating the arts because UC Davis is making a commitment to the arts under Chancellor Katehi's leadership and with the help of generous donors. And Margrit, ti ringrazio dal cuore. Your generous love of the arts has meant everything to our students. Thank you. There's no doubt that it took a lot of courage and even sleepless nights for Chancellor Vanderhoof to commit in 1994 to a vision for the visual and performing arts. The Mondavi Center is the extraordinary realization of the first part of that vision, and I am so very pleased that we are now moving forward on the two other parts. Plans for a music recital hall have been in the works since 1993, and today we are taking the next steps. Performance is at the heart of our music program. The only way to learn is by actually performing. Getting out there on stage, taking risks, trying to nail a performance the way a gymnast sticks a landing. We know from this glorious concert hall, Jackson Hall, and a special thank you to Barbara, that space is a necessary partner for making music. It is such a joy to listen to performers playing off this space, taking musical risks, confident that the space will make it work. Our goal in the recital hall is an intimate venue seating just under 400 people that will be just as successful in its acoustics as Jackson Hall. And we will now have a new campus art museum. Last year, we received a magnificent gift from Jan Shrem and his wife, Maria Manetti Shrem, a gift that will realize this decades-old dream of a state-of-the-art facility here in Vanderhoof Quad, creating an arts district right at UC Davis's front door, at the very nexus of our campus and civic communities. We will break ground in 2014. And now, to tell you about the museum, let me invite Rachel Teagle to the podium. She has a doctorate in art history from Stanford and most recently served as executive director of the New Children's Museum in San Diego. an innovative project that succeeded in building new audiences for contemporary art. In the few short weeks since her arrival, she has brought energy and expertise and vision to the project. We are incredibly lucky to have her. Rachel?
Good morning. I am so happy to be here with you today, and especially as the students join us on campus. The excitement begins, as does the work in earnest on our new museum. Thanks to Jan Shrem and Maria Manetti Shrem, we no longer have to wish for a new museum. Their generosity has made it possible for us to begin now, although we still have some fundraising work to do. But more importantly, it's their vision to fund education and access to the arts that is really propelling our project forward. Thanks to the Shrems, we can now begin the great work of realizing an art museum for UC Davis and its fine arts collection. As you can see, and many of you have seen this image before, until now we've been just a little bit fuzzy about what exactly the museum is going to be all about. All that changes this academic year as we hire an architect, and I'm thrilled to tell you that the ad is out on the street and there's real interesting interest in this project. This year, all that changes as we write the museum's mission and we experiment at the Nelson Gallery with some of our ideas for the new museum. Together, through these processes, our plans will come into focus. And as we imagine architectural solutions for this important site that is really just next door to us here, this site is so interesting because it's at the intersection of our civic and campus communities. We have to launch this year by asking the right questions. And over the course of the year, we'll be answering those questions in a series of community open forums, in a series of project advisory committees, and ultimately a leadership council that will guide the process of transforming our architectural project into a living, breathing museum that serves our community. Today, what I can share with you are some of the key principles that will inform all aspects of museum planning. First, like the university, our museum should be founded upon the belief that education and the arts must be accessible to all people. It's this legacy of the university's land-grant mission that will drive the museum to reach lifelong learners of all ages, starting with the undergraduate students here on our university campus. Moreover, in all the plans we make for the museum, we need to think about visitor experience, considering our visitors as central to the museum's purpose, and more importantly, in thinking about how we want to make the museum more meaningful to diverse audiences. In the 21st century, reaching our audiences requires more than building a cathedral on a hill. We know that art museums, and especially contemporary art, suffer from perceived barriers. Ideas like art is too fancy, or too expensive, or too foreign for me. It's incumbent upon us at the university to ask the questions to figure out how to eradicate those barriers, or more simply put, we have to figure out what is it that's going to get students to want to hang out at the museum. And given the sophistication of our student populace in the 21st century, we must resist the urge to dumb down the art experience. Thinking about how to make everything about the museum approachable, from our architecture to how we greet our visitors, is really thinking about how do we take these sophisticated ideas and of the artists whose work are on view and make them more meaningful to different audiences. On the other hand, while we work to bring new and diverse audiences to the museum, and hopefully lots of them, once they're through our doors and in our galleries, we want to focus on creating intimate and personal experiences with art. Within the social and communal experience of the museum visit, our architect must help us create spaces that allow for intense and personal interaction with works of art. We also will ask our architects to think about how space creates an atmosphere where teachers and students can ask questions together. And to explain our fourth principle, I'm going to borrow here an anecdote from Wayne Thiebaud. "Look," he said to his students, "I can't give you answers to anything. What I can do is give you some tools to get at answers, be it a question about painting or anything else. Creating tools to get to answers is everything that the Manetti Shrem Museum will be about. And I can't resist the urge to show this amazing Ansel Adams photograph of Tio Giambruni in the foundry that he built and installed in TB9 here on campus to remind us of the great history of giving tools to artists at UC Davis, but also to remind you that the architecture of the museum is in and of itself just another tool. And the real work of the museum is the exhibition and educational programming that we will do there. This brings us to our fifth principle. The museum is the artists we engage. And we need to engage artists not only in all aspects of museum operation, we need to engage a broad spectrum of the type of artists. We will showcase the many ways students in all fields at UC Davis are engaged in the arts. We need to empower young curators. I'm hoping there's a way that the Basement Gallery and its wonderful history over in the art department might find a role in the new museum. I speak here, this is a very personal interest in the aesthetics of information. If there are scientists out there today, I have not yet met you, and I want to know if you would be interested in doing projects like this one, the Moseley Snowflake Fractal, that happened at USC this summer, where together the entire community came to campus to build a newly discovered three-dimensional symmetrical fractal form. They brought together, for the first time, they gave form to a new scientific discovery. And I want to know if there's interest in doing projects like this at UC Davis. I want to take advantage of our design department, the only professionally oriented undergraduate and graduate design program in the UC system. The process of building the museum offers so many opportunities to engage students, from visioning, from more esoteric visioning exercises, to giving students the opportunity to solve real-world problems, like helping us figure out what the right furniture needs to be in our galleries. However we decide to give it shape, we must remember that it is central to the vitality of the museum enterprise for us to empower artists to make work. And I can't tell you how proud I am to be at a university that takes that mission seriously. And I'm going to share with you a testimonial from one of our MFA students here on campus in the visual arts. But before I show that, I want to say thank you one more time to Margrit Mondavi, this time for her courage to give funds directly to students to help them become great artists.
Any sort of grant for an artist is generally rare, and especially what the Mondavi Fellows receive, it's going to be invaluable for the future for any artist here that's working. It's going to produce a lot of great work.
I couldn't agree more. I have one last principle, our sixth, an idea so central to UC Davis that it's already inspired decades worth of imaginative inquiry. A spirit of shrewd irreverence is a defining characteristic of this university. I've already heard so many tales across so many different departments about how UC Davis faculty have cultivated excellence by not taking themselves too seriously. And I want the museum to embody this distinctive approach. Great things happen when you have the courage to not take yourself too seriously. Let me give you an example of what I mean. In 1967, Bruce Nauman made this one of his first neon signs less than a year after graduating from UC Davis with his MFA. This is a foundational work that set the direction of Nauman's career and thereby changed the world of contemporary art. To me, the work embodies the courage Davis gave him to go out and confront the art world in a medium that at the time was associated with cheap motels and had nothing to do with contemporary art. Nauman emerged on the global art scene with a statement both personal and perplexing, neither entirely facetious nor completely serious. Recently, he explained about the piece. The most difficult thing about the whole piece for me was the statement. It was kind of a test, like when you say something out loud to see if you believe it. Once written down, I could see that the statement was, on the one hand, a totally silly idea, and yet, on the other hand, I believed it. It's true and not true at the same time. It depends on how you interpret it and how seriously you take yourself. Together, as we define the future of the Jan Shrem and Maria Manetti Shrem Museum of Art, we need to test strange ideas. We need to have the courage to write them down and the conviction to take ourselves seriously enough to believe that the arts really can reveal mystic truths. And just in case you think I've overstated the case for Naumann and what his work achieved, I share with you there's 4 examples here on screen of how artists have responded to Naumann over the years. I could fill it with 400 of artists, from graffiti street artists to the bottom right-hand corner is Peter Coffin, another grad from UC Davis, to Mungo Thompson, who regularly works the circuit of international biennials. They respond to Naumann both to agree and to vehemently disagree, which again, I think, speaks to the power of what can happen here at UC Davis and the power of what can happen when we don't take yourselves too seriously. In closing, I offer that the talented young people you've seen on stage here today are the answers to our questions. Their creativity, their professional aspirations, their intellectual curiosity are why we need an excellent museum that will unite the campus in a process of joint inquiry, foment social experiences and interactions with diverse communities, provide a place for personal exploration, and usher in yet another decade when the arts thrive at UC Davis. We have an audacious goal in building this museum, and if Wayne Thiebaud can admit that he doesn't have all the answers, I can tell you that I have no chance of achieving this goal without all of you. We have a talented team of people who have already joined the museum project, and they are not enough. We need full campus engagement. I'm inviting you today, please join us for this of our first 2 community forums. We need to hear your questions. I need you to be a part of cultivating the answers to our questions. And if you can't make one of these meetings, email me, come by the office. If you need more of a hook, I just unpacked my espresso machine. If, in closing, you would please join me to welcome Caitlin Bowden, a UC Davis vocal performance major and English major, and she will be accompanied by Grace Zhu in performing our alma mater.
To California,